The truth of the matter is this.
Welcome.
I don't think a lot of the consuming public knows that, but that is the case.
goatforreal216.
It's just math. Just math.
The podcast.
He's a little bit savage.
Eva B.
Sean P.
You want to do a podcast tonight?
I want to do a podcast tonight.
I want to do a podcast.
Let's go.
Let's do a damn podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do a podcast.
Awesome.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How was your weekend?
When was that?
It was St. Patrick's Day weekend.
What is that?
I don't know. I guess weekends don't exist for you still.
It's not. My weekends are, my weekends are on Fridays. I pick up my boys, right? My two boys, 13 and 15, and they're with me until Sunday. Now this weekend, we went to, we had a nice little family weekend. Mm-hmm. We went to on Friday night, a friend and I and my two boys went to Hibachi.
Ooh, yummy.
I'm going to tell you right now, if they ever come up with like a scoring system for how good you are at catching the chicken when he throws it off the thing.
Uh-huh.
Do they do that at where you go?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Okay. I'm amazing at it.
Ooh, we might have to go toe to toe on that one.
I don't really think you want to go there.
I'm a pro. I'm a pro.
In doing what? Meaning what?
Catching things.
What? Diseases? Hey, listen. Dude, I'm just telling you, I nailed it. But it was fun. So we did that. We went to Hibachi. It was awesome. My boys had an amazing time. Mm-hmm. And then Saturday, we went to the rec center.
Yeah,
we joined the rec center. Mm-hmm. We have the family membership at the rec center, which I'm pretty sure comes with your AARP card.
What else happened at the rec center? I know you sent me some text messages this
listen,
weekend.
We're going to get it out of the way. This is my version of uncomfortable local fame that happens to me now. It's really weird. So here, I go to the rec center, and my boy Noah, he's like, hey, this is my buddy Logan. This is his mom and dad. I'm like, oh, hey, guys. And the mom looks at me, and she's like, wait. And like, I'm already like, no way this is going here. You know what I mean? And she's like, hold on. Wait. And I'm like, she's like, are you the car guy on TikTok? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And it still makes me uncomfortable because it just does. I'm just not used to it yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that, trust me, I'm an ant on the scale of, fame. I mean, I'm probably not even an ant. I'm probably not even, what's smaller than an ant?
Like an atom.
Okay, so am I an atom?
I mean, you're definitely
local
an atom.
fame.
You're definitely an atom.
Okay, so I'm an atom. So it still makes, but yes, I was like, yes, I'm the car guy. And very cool people, very cool son. My boys had a great time. So we had a great time because if they're having fun, that's cool for me. So my weekend was good. How about you?
It was good. I cooked a lot of Irish food and still am eating it to this day. So.
Yeah. Did you drink?
A little bit, but I was safe.
Are you Irish?
I am Irish.
I'm way more Irish than you.
You're not lying. I'm mostly Mexican, but I'm a little bit Irish.
All right. So anyhow, good weekend. Glad you had a good weekend.
Yes.
Is there anybody you want to thank?
Yes, I want to thank this week's sponsor, White House Pallets. We will talk about them a little bit more later, but Thanks to them.
Thank you. And again, that is House, H-A-U-S. I just always have to do that.
Yep.
I feel my OCD acts up if I don't correct the spelling. So I got to tell you, and we'll get into some questions here, but I have to tell you that I am very pleased with how well we're starting out on this podcast.
Yes, 6 episodes in, and I feel like we're doing really well. I think we're generating organic growth at this point, which is always so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing people make comments now on social and reposting our snippets and stuff like that, which is like super cool. So here, ultimately, what matters to me, and I know you feel the same way, is being able to help people understand the car business. If you're on the consumer side, I want you to understand the side of the car business that you don't see.
Yes.
Right? That's the hashtag behind the scenes. If you're in the space, if you're in the car business, I want you to pick my brain and take anything that I can give you, my 25 years of experience, and use it to better your situation and your life and your income and all that stuff. And so I think we're in the very beginning stages of that starting to work.
I think so too. I mean, we're getting comments from people who are listening, comments from people saying, hey, I took notes. I used this thing that you said. And some of them are starting to come from comments from the podcast, which is really exciting.
Very, very good stuff.
Yes.
And there's always the comments about, bam.
Every time. It's going to happen every episode.
Thank you, Matt, at Seidel's Barbershop.
Ooh, right. Shout out.
Yeah. Rock and roll.
While we're on the topic of, people finding us, please, just as a reminder, if you're listening to the podcast, make sure to follow and subscribe and leave ratings and reviews. Your reviews are going to be what lets us know what you like about the show, what you want to see more of, etc. So just shout out about that.
You say subscribe?
Sub.
What's the... We're not going there this week.
Sub.
All right. So a little bit of a teaser. I am going to release an ebook soon on how to the proper way to purchase a vehicle and make sure you're getting the best deal, the best treatment. And I am going to include information in there that I think a lot of people, the public, just needs to know, and it's kind of like common sense stuff in my mind, but it never ceases to amaze me. I mean, it doesn't surprise me anymore. The things that I think are common sense, I have to remember. I've been in this business 25 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Turned into an adult in this business. And just because I know it like it's the back of my hand, consumers don't know it. They buy a car once every 2.5 to 7 years. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try to put some stuff in there that, is very common sense stuff to me, but to a consumer, it feels like stuff they need to know, So again, I like being on both sides. I'm a car dealer, right? By nature, I'm a car guy. Let's get that clear. But I also am an advocate for consumers being able to buy a car in a manner that makes it an enjoyable, experience, but because it should be. When you go buy a house, right? It's exciting.
It's so exciting.
I mean, could there be two more separate ends of the spectrum? This is such an exciting thing. We're going to buy a house. We're buying a house. You know what I'm saying? And then the second biggest purchase of your adult life usually is a car. And it's like the most excruciating.
So stressful.
All I want to do is take this one and make it a little more like this one.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I can say I took a sneak peek at it. It's looking pretty cool. I think a good point you touched on is that it should be common sense, but like you, for instance, are in this situation all the time. For
Correct.
People who are only buying a car every 5 to 7 years, they're not necessarily thinking in the moment of every single step that they should be taking. So it's like a nice way to kind of compile all those steps to help out the consumer.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something that LL Slots said today in the live, that he takes notes on all your videos for his upcoming purchase.
I saw that.
So now,
I saw that.
You can just use something like this, and you don't have to take all the notes and be so strenuous about it. But it's cool that you do that, though.
Yeah, and here, for the car guys, us informing the public, listen, you have to adapt. It's here. Forget it. It's the information age. But when having an informed customer should make your job easier. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So you need to, if you're a car guy listening to this, an informed consumer is a good consumer because it should make your job a little easier. Okay. You don't have to go over, and sell so much of the product and everything and, explain everything with a fine tooth comb because they're a little bit more informed. And the reality is you're not going to make, it's not going to hurt your income to have an informed consumer. It's quite the opposite. If you're dealing with an informed consumer, they're, intelligent and they're a decent person. They understand the word profit. And They understand that, like, that's what business is. So, but we're gonna inform when we can, and hopefully the ebook helps some people. But yeah, that was a cool comment.
Yeah,
what was his name again? LL what?
LL Slots.
Okay, gotcha. So, cool guest this week. Cool guest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool person.
Pretty awesome person.
Smart person. I would say really funny person. And here's the cool thing for me. she has all of those character traits because of me.
Ooh.
Because she's my little sister.
Your little sister.
Yeah. So without me, she would be not funny, not cool. She'd probably still be smart because she's like weirdly smart. Okay. She probably couldn't be dumb, like with no brain. If they took her brain out, she'd still know.
Yeah, she's pretty smart.
Yeah, it's
Smart
weird.
to be under the table a lot.
Yeah, it's scary smart. So anyway, so my sister Trisha is going to be on this week. I'm super excited about it now. She's got a lot of car experience. She worked with me for years in the car business.
Worked with
She
me
went
too.
with you too. That's
Mhm.
true. She went to the lending side, got hired by a major lender, worked for them for maybe a couple years, something like that. I don't pay much attention to anything, but that lender. Which goes along with a lot of things we say here on this podcast, how the banking industry and the lending side is squeezing and it's getting so weird. Major lender in this area shut down a whole branch.
Woo.
I mean, a branch.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so that's where the industry is right now with the banking and the lending side of it, guys. So it's a weird, tough time in the car business. So anyway, so she took that opportunity to say, you know what? I'm gonna go be a manager at a store. And she loves the car business, and she's with a major group. They have 50 dealerships, I think in the tri-state area or 6 states around it. And she's, slinging iron again.
Awesome.
And having a blast.
And I mean, she's always been great in the industry, and she's very easy person to talk to. So I'm excited for her to join us.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? You want to take a break? I'm tired already.
Real quick, before we go to break.
Yeah.
In the live earlier, we did get a question that wasn't necessarily car advice, but I've always been curious what your answer is. So PSAV60 asked, what's your favorite car you've ever owned?
That I personally own?
That you have owned.
So that's, okay, so I'll do it, but I'm the wrong guy to ask that. I'm going to answer it, but because I haven't owned that many cars. Because ever since I've been in the car business, I've driven a free car.
But that's got to mean something then if you haven't owned that many cars, though. So what's your favorite one that you've owned?
I owned a, 1984 Dodge Daytona, and it was sweet.
Oh, okay.
Dude, first of all, let me tell you why the car was so dope.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in it with a sick mullet.
Oh my God, you had a mullet?
Bro.
I demand to see photos in the break.
I got high school baseball team pictures. I mean, I'm telling you. But the mullet was fly. I mean, I'm talking about down, above the shoulder. I didn't, above the shoulder blades, of course, because I'm not Whitesnake. You know what I'm saying? But so I wasn't trying to be a hairband, but and it was kind of flipped up a little bit.
You had the blown out mullet going
You don't
on.
understand.
Oh,
it was
my
what I
gosh.
like to refer to as a panty dropper.
Okay.
Anything else I need to say about that?
Nope.
And it was nasty. But it was kind of like a combo of the soccer mullet too. You remember? Well, no, you don't.
I don't know if I know the soccer
mullet. The soccer mullet was sick in the back, and wispy in the back, shaved on the sides.
Okay.
Up into some sort of a fluff thing up here.
Uh-huh.
And
Honestly,
let me just tell you, I mean, I have scars from all the fingernails from them clawing at me. You know what I mean? And it was a good time.
I demand pictures in the break.
So anyways, 1984 Dodge Daytona and stick shift, right? It's a handshaker because that's how I roll. And it was, that's probably, I think that's my favorite car.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm buying the car again. If I find it today, I'm buying that car again. I'm growing the mullet back and rolling down the streets of Fairview Park, Ohio, and just watch the cat. Just watch the cat calls.
Those are some bold statements.
Watch it happen.
Well, I don't know what I was expecting, but that is not the answer. I was expecting.
But listen, because cars but it goes back to this business and why I think it's important we do this podcast. Cars mean something to people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. Cars can be the thing that, it looks cool and maybe it's fast. And there's all those reasons to buy a car for sure. But cars become a part of our lives and our family. They do. I don't care what, they just do. You have memories in them.
Yeah.
Right. You create memories in them. Things happen. Funny. I remember, driving in the car with my mom and my sister, down off of Pearl Road. up a hill, and Mom slipped into kind of the embankment or something like that. And I mean, laughing till we couldn't breathe. You know, it just happened. And so that car means a lot to me, more because of the time in my life, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was just a great time. And so, but that's probably my favorite car. But, you know, I was flipping cars in high school. I would buy cars out of the Trading Times, it was called back then. You do not remember that.
Nope.
It was kind of like the TV Guide, which you do not remember.
I do remember the TV.
You do?
Yes, I do.
The paper.
The little book one,
The
yeah.
book
Not
one.
the magazine version.
Yeah, like you lost the
little
TV
book.
Guide, it was lights out, go
It
to
was,
bed.
oh, yeah.
No, I mean, the night through it.
Mhm.
And so, it was the Trading Times. And so I would call on cars and I would talk them down, negotiate with them. I'd go get the car. I'd bring it back to my house. I'd clean it up. I'd put it back in the Trading Times for more money.
Wow.
I think by the time I graduated high school, I had owned 16 cars.
Jeez. You were hustling young.
I just, you know, it was, and I can't work on them. It's like I'm not a gearhead.
Right.
But like, I just love cars, you know what I mean? And so anyways, but that's my story. So there it is. But, yeah, that's a good question. I appreciate somebody asking that, but that's probably my favorite car of all time.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I had 2 Corvettes when I first got in the car business. And I wrecked them both.
Oh,
That was back in
wow.
that's, you know, when I used to consume certain liquids
Mhm.
and I used to ingest certain things
Mhm.
that would, alter your
ability
your
to
mood.
drive a vehicle.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and do the snort. I'm hashtagging snort. Like
Hashtag.
that's gonna be a hashtag, and I don't know. It's just recent. It's like a month ago I started snorting.
I seem to be able to pull it out a lot, though, so I think I'm doing
I
something
always
correct.
snort when I'm around you.
So,
So, but anyway, but yeah. So, anyways, beep pop boop,
beep bop boop. I think we'll head to break and then get into it.
holler.
Holla.
So I want to take a second to thank White House Pallets, whitehousepallets.com. The owner, Desiree, has donated various items to this podcast, the goatforreal216 podcast. I want to take a minute and tell you about White House Pallets. It's WHITEHAUS pallets.com. And she is an online seller of various items that you can save 50, 60% off of retail. I've seen things on her website that cost $100 that she's selling for $30. You can save 50, 60, 70%. Brand new items in the box. By the way, they show up at your house. Desiree, the owner, will answer your phone call. You'll be DMing or messaging with Desiree, the owner. She can make decisions. She's a great business person. She's an entrepreneur, and she is a very, very good friend of the Go For Real 216 show, as well as a very, very good friend of mine and Eva's. So whitehousepallets.com. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all the donations. We appreciate it, and we wish you the best in business.
And we are back. Thank you for joining us again for this second half of the episode.
And thanks to White House Pallets again.
Yes, we super appreciate you.
Super appreciate you. So I want to welcome our guest for the week. This guest is my little sister. So watch the comment section.
Yeah, because we'll both be on y'all.
I have
about it.
analytics and tracking on everything that you do. No, I'm just kidding. And Trisha is... Did I say she's my little sister?
You did say she's your little sister.
Okay, I want to make sure I got that out there.
Best friend, little sister.
Watch the comments.
Slightly
Okay.
taller.
Yeah. Younger sister who's taller than me. Okay, gotcha. So I want to welcome Trisha to the episode.
Trish
Thank you.
sells cars.
She does.
Yes. Social, Trish Sells Cars, TRISH Sells Cars. So, hi.
Hey.
It's weird because I see you and talk to you every day, but we're going to act like you're a guest on the show that I don't see all the time or know every, we're going to like interview you like I don't know you that well, which
Nice.
is, I know you pretty well.
Yeah, you've known me for a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So yeah, before we get into some user questions, let's get to know you a little bit, Trisha. So tell us about your history in the car business.
So I actually, so Sean, of course, is my big brother because I'm his little sister. So he, believe it or not, did not bring me up in the car business, but I grew up loving cars in general, just the metal part of it, especially older cars. And I the first part of my career, I was in the medical field, and that I got burnt out on. So I went to, I managed an online auction company for 13 years, helped grow them, and they had sold out. And I was looking for the next thing to do, and my brother said, "Why don't you try to sell cars?" And I said, "Oh, I might as well."
Hey.
Yeah.
And showed up, and I started selling cars and loved it. Fell in love with it immediately. And
Is that when we met?
it is when we met.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like you guys have known each other longer than that.
it feels
Well,
like
How
that.
long ago was that?
I mean, I started there in 2017, and she started less than a
18.
year after I did.
Yeah,
18?
2018.
Okay, so that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 5 years. So yeah, I was there for about 3 years. I did sales for about a year and a half, and did F&I finance for about 2 years, and then got lucky to move to the lender side. Spent about a year and a half at a large lender, and when my branch closed, went back into the dealership side, and am now a manager in training at a large group that has 54 dealerships and 68 satellite locations.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, that's my story.
Yeah. What do you love? Like, what is it that you like about the car business? I mean, you know, for the people out there that maybe are thinking about getting into it, you know, and I get that question all the time, right, Eva? We get that
Oh,
on
yeah.
socials all the time. Trish, I've shown you, you know, people are like, I really want to get in the car business, you know, this, that, and the other. I'm not sure if I'll like it. What would you say to that? What is your favorite part of it?
So I definitely like the car part of it. I like cars in general, and I like shopping. So shopping for cars all day seems like a good gig when you're getting paid for it.
Right.
But definitely helping people. I mean, whether you're buying a car from a private party or from a dealership, almost everybody's going to buy a car at some point. The fact that I get to be a part of that, especially when they're coming into a dealership and most people are nervous, they don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
I can provide kind of my side of it, what I've been through, which is a lot similar to most of my customers. But I can give them a good experience. I can sit down and have fun with them and tell them what they need to know and guide them through the process. It feels good to help people when they're in a time of need, which they really are when they're buying a car.
Yeah.
It's really no feeling that's like quite as rewarding as like, you know the feeling when you're watching the car pull away with the temp tag on it.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just a cool feeling.
It feels very
You
good.
know? I mean, assuming the people were somewhat pleasant.
Right.
Sometimes you want to, you know, see if you got an egg in your pocket to throw.
Right.
You know what I mean? But for the most part,
sure.
you're happy for them.
Absolutely, yeah. And they usually are too. And I think about, a lot of what you told me in the beginning is it's not just about the sale. It's not just about you buying the car or you selling the car, but there's a lot of people behind it. It's the kids that they're taking to school. It's the people that they're showing up for to work. And then on the other side, it's not just the salespeople, but the people in finance, people in service. It's bigger than just the car and the person who's buying it and who's selling it.
Yeah, a lot goes into a car deal, man. I mean, when you think about it, like Trisha was saying, like, you've got people don't really realize the horsepower that goes into selling a car.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like you said, you got, the porter who maybe cleans the car or brings it up, or the detail shop or whatever. The finance person that spends their time and their efforts getting the financing, set up for the customer. The sales manager who, works the deal and maybe, relies on a relationship that he's built over 10 or 15 or 20 years to help make sure that deal's structured correctly. There's just a lot of parts of it that a lot of people don't realize goes on.
Right.
And then there's the salesperson on that deal who, it's cool. They feed their family off of selling that person the car, and then the person they sell the car to, has a reliable way to get to work and get their kids to school or do whatever it is. So
Right.
there's just a lot that goes into it. And I think it's cool that you see all that, because I saw all that very early on, and that's what appealed to me too.
100%. Well, awesome. Now that we know you a little bit, Sean, why don't you tell us about how we got this week's content?
So what we did this week was we did another TikTok live.
Woo!
And
We came back TikTok. We always do.
we do. We're always going to go back to TikTok. TikTok is the girl that you just can't forget about.
TikTok is the loyal girl that knows you're going to come home.
TikTok could just be your hometown, but I respect that you both made it about girls. Do. On a personal level.
I disagree with everything both of you said. I wanted it to go where I wanted it to go, and you guys took weird girly
Deboed
terms
it.
to it. Yeah, like I don't know. I was gonna get real guy about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for all the guy listeners, you know where I was headed with it. You know what I think TikTok is. The guys get it, but you guys went down some emotional roller coaster.
For sure.
that I was uncomfortable with.
This is what happens when you have your sister
I don't like
and
it.
one of your
I
best
don't- I
friends
don't-
on
I
the
don't-
show at the same time.
I don't
Right,
I
two
don't like
best
it when my
friends.
sisters. Stop it. I don't like when my sister becomes friendly with any girl in my life, because inevitably what happens is those two find a way to gang up on me all the time. Like if they just meet, it doesn't even matter. Like they'll be like, wink, wink, we're gonna get them, and all of a sudden I'm a target.
You provide us easy content, I feel.
It's true.
Let's get on. Let's move on.
Okay.
So, anyways, they came from TikTok. The girl, like, I don't know, whatever you said. That's what we did. So we went on there and we got some questions on our live. Some really good questions too. I think.
Oh yeah,
Like again, questions are getting better.
for
I love
sure.
it.
So let's jump right in. This question I'm going to direct to Sean and Trisha from Mathin Y. Sweeney's.
Matheny.
Got a 420 credit score, 500 down, make 250 weekly. What can
Hold
I
on
get?
a second. I figured out the name. Matheny's Weenies.
Matheny's Ween. Okay, yeah.
I love
That
the name.
Took me a minute.
Some of the ats are so great sometimes.
So yes, got a 420 credit score, 500 down, make 250 weekly. What can I get?
I'm gonna let I like Trisha to answer that, but she got the lender side behind her, so she knows that end of it. And I think that on a daily basis, most salespeople, including her, I know for sure, deal with customers just like this, and the end result is normally
Co-signer or a very large down payment. But I would say probably co-signer. From the lender side, we wouldn't want to budget you for something that's going to be out of your range. Not just because we don't want to put you in a bad position, but we don't want you to get the car repoed and then we're in a bad position as well. So from the lender side, especially making $250 a week, which is like $1,100 a month, so you probably qualify with that credit score for 15% PTI. So like under $200 a month payment, you're not going to find a car for under $200 a month probably.
$200 car payments was the 90s, right? People come in and go, I want to be at $250 a month. And I say all the time, stop it. That's what, for your cell phone? That's a cell phone payment.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not a car payment today, guys, just so you know. That is not a car. Now, I shouldn't say it. You got 780 credit score and $15,000 down on a $25,000 car. Yeah, 250 is fine. But, I think what Trish is saying, we talk a lot on here about PTI, DTI percentages and stuff like that. And she's right, $1,100 a month at 15% PTI. What's that, $165, $170 a month? You have a 420 credit score. The interest rate's going to be
25%.
25%.
100%.
You got to finance like $3,000.
Yep.
In Ohio, 25%, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the state you're in, but in Ohio, that's the max, right? So 500 down. So Matheny's Weenies, props on the username, but if Trisha's 100% right. You're not going to budget for much, unfortunately. So the co-signer, I think, right? That's
Co-signer.
for income and credit purposes.
For sure, for both. The co-signer, preferably for us, would be somebody who lives with you, because if their income's in a different house, it doesn't do us much good.
True that.
Nice. Okay, next question. Sean, I'm going to send this your way. MD Martin 22 asks, cash buyers, thing of the past?
Cash buyers thing of the past? Absolutely not. No. No, there's still people. Now, when you say cash buyers, to a dealer, if you come in with a cashier's check or even a credit union check, you may have arranged a loan for that money, or you might have had it in your bank account and, whatever. But to us, that's a cash deal. If you're not financing, you're a cash buyer. So you might have went and got a loan or a home equity or something like that for that money. But to us, that's a cash buyer. So it's definitely not a thing of the past for us. Now, do I think it's a more narrow percentage of people today that actually are stroking a check out of their checking account? Probably. I think it's less than it used to be. People used to save more. What did they? I read the stat recently. Most Americans have under $1,000 saved.
Yeah, saving money is almost impossible right
People
now.
are like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die anyways. What's going on? With all the things that are happening. So what? Why? Let's have a vacation. Let's go spend all of our money and live paycheck to paycheck. I think more people are choosing to do that than they used to, and so people don't have a lot of money saved. So I don't see. But to us again, it's not a thing of the past to us, because if you give us a check for it, or any other method other than financing to us, that's a one pay, we call it, so that's a cash deal. So from the dealership side, I don't think it's gone down, but I think the method of getting that cash has probably whittled down as far as people actually being able to write a check and just pay true cash for the car. So
Gotcha.
that's a good question, though.
All right, moving right along, I'm going to send this one to Sean and Trisha. Kingberry_official asks, tips for someone that has no credit buying their first car.
So I'll start off on that. Tips for someone that has no credit buying the first car. In a perfect world, find a cosigner, because otherwise you're going to be dealing with probably an upper teens interest rate if you get approved at all. And you're probably not going to get anywhere near the car that you want, maybe even that you need. Most banks are going to, they're going to base it off your income, but then when you're a first-time buyer, even more so than your PTI, they want you to prove yourself. So you're going to get limited on the type of car you can get, the amount of finance, and you're probably not going to want to drive that car, right, Trisha? I mean, what else would you say tips for?
I mean, I think down payment is going to be
huge.
essential for this. You're going to get a lower rate that way. I know the lender that I was with, definitely that made a difference. The loan to value that you talk about a lot, that makes a difference with the interest rate. But putting money down, letting the lender know that you have some skin in the game and that you're not as big of a risk to take off with the car is a big thing. The cosigner, yeah, absolutely, get somebody on who has some credit history. But also, when you say no credit, there's different kinds of no credit. You have, you've never had a car before, but you've had some credit cards, or maybe you've had none of that, but you have a couple collections, or you really just have never gotten anything on your report. So that's another, factor to take in, what kind of no credit you're actually talking about.
Another tip would be, if you need a car today and you have no credit, you're going to have to do what you're going to do. You're going to bite the bullet. We all did it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to bite the bullet. If you can wait, go find a cash car. Establish some credit. Get a secured credit card. Get one of these credit cards that they'll give anybody with a $300 limit, and just show the lending community that you can pay something on time, right?
Yeah, and I want to say too, another thing to remember is if it's your first car, don't go shopping for your dream car. Start off with something that's inexpensive, something that's, maybe newer, lower miles, but just a lower model. You don't want to get into something, especially with the higher interest rate, that costs more, because you're going to pay more for it and you're more likely to get into a bad predicament. So go for something a little cheaper for your first car, get some payments under your belt, and get a better interest rate on your dream car.
I agree with that, 100%.
It's so funny that those were the tips you chose, because when I bought my first ever real car purchase, it was exactly that. I had a couple things in collections, like medical things. I had gotten one credit card and started building credit.
Yeah.
My only thing when I went in is I was adamant I did not want a cosigner. Whatever I had to do to not cosign, fine. So I ended up with a very high interest rate, which I accepted if it was just in my name, and put down a down payment. I was good to go. It was exactly what happened. That's the exact situation I went in.
Now, when you say whatever you had to do,
listen, we don't talk about what you talk about behind the closed door, Sean.
I'm not going to. Where are you going with that?
Whatever you have to do.
About. Where did you just go? Did
Listen,
you just go down Dirty Drive?
Maybe a little bit.
I wasn't doing that.
I definitely thought you were.
Eva.
Whatever you have to do, Sean.
My sister's right here.
His sister's right here.
We know what you meant. Let's move on.
Okay, so next question. This one is going to go straight to Trisha. Dolce de Leche asks, I got an offer for a dealership, but just don't know if the hours you work are worth it. You got any advice? Overall tips and advice for a first-time car salesman.
That's a tough one to answer. Describe worth it, I guess. There are hours for sure. You can find a dealership that's a 9 to 5. You're probably not going to make nearly as much money as one that's maybe 9 to 9. It's a commission-based business. The more hours you work, the more money you're going to make. That's just facts. That's just how it is. You can get into the business and make a really good living doing a 9 to 5, but not nearly as much as if you're willing to put in the time and work. But I know it's so cliche, but if you're willing to work harder than everybody else right now, you can rest harder than everybody else later.
That's a good way to put it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
You
next
just come
question.
up with
I did, right on the fly, off the dome.
See, that's what we mean when we say Trisha's really smart. It's like stuff like that.
Go gang.
Let's not keep talking about it. All right.
Never mind, Go Gang. Ping
Let's move
Gang.
on.
All right, Sean, this one's for you. Nashville GMF asks, is Auto Trader still a good place?
I get hung up trying to figure out the names, what they mean. It's Auto Trader. Is Auto Trader still a good place? Yeah, I mean, I did a video on TikTok one time talking about how social media and SEO and Google and everything were really putting the third-party sites like AutoTrader and Cars.com, out of business. And the truth of the matter is their views are their website views are down. You know what I mean? If you look at all their analytics, they're down a little bit. But what I found out is I was a little wrong. It's still more dominant than I thought. People my age still, I think, are much more inclined to start there than I believed. So I'm not, too proud to admit that I think I was a little forward with it. You know what I mean? I thought, I think that's but that was a me thing. It was me more than it was really what's out there.
Okay.
Because I was surprised. But you know what? Even millennials were commenting saying, no, I go to Auto Trader all the time. Like, that's my go-to site. And it caught me off guard. So I was a little, I was a little taken back by it. But I was stuck in my own thinking that it's such a part of the past. And I do think it's going to be a part of the past. I'm just forward on it.
Gotcha.
That I thought it was more. It's not yet, really. No, I think it's still a good place to go. Here's the deal. Go to Auto Trader, hit the drop down. Go to your search criteria first, whatever you want to do. But hit the drop down, price low to high, right? You go price low to high, and it gives you, there's 25 cars on the first page of Auto Trader. That's how many listings are on there. And you can still get good deals on there. So it's still a good place, and it's still more dominant in the market than I even thought. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question, and yeah, I think it still is a good place to look for cars. Yeah, it is.
Awesome. All right, Sean, going to throw the next one to you as well.
Okay.
Breathalarin says,
Brett Halloran.
oh, Jesus. See, you get them right, I get them wrong. Brett Halloran? I never would have saw that in a million years. So
What did you say? Breathalarian?
Breathalarian. I don't even know what I said.
Or something like that. What did you say?
Flux capacitor?
Moving on. The question is,
Yeah.
what does it typically mean when it's a fleet vehicle?
Brett Halarian, what that means normally is, so a fleet vehicle is normally going to be it could be a couple things, right? So it could be from a rental company. It could have been a rental, Enterprise, Hertz, one of those rental companies, or it could have been a fleet vehicle that is at a company's disposal, meaning they have, 20 vehicles that they let their employees use, on a daily basis, or that they actually let them sort of take, ownership, not ownership on title, but take home every day and drive like a company car. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So a lot of these companies, these big companies, are still out there with fleet vehicles. They give them to their management or whatever to use as a company vehicle. It's a perk. That could be a fleet vehicle, or it could be a rental car. So that's usually the two main things that a fleet vehicle means. But good question, Breathalarian.
Listen, I don't usually do it, but I'm going to put these usernames on the video so y'all can understand why it's so confusing, okay?
They're all letters.
Try the next one. No, the next one's easy.
Yeah, I got the next one. So this one I'm also going to aim to Sean. Mr. Oliveria says, is it harder to get approved for a lease versus getting financed?
It is, because technically on a lease, that vehicle is still titled to the bank. So it's still, you're the leasee. So it's still technically, the bank still has ownership of that car. So it is a little bit harder to get approved on a lease still. They want to see a little bit more stability. They want to see a little bit more payment history on a car loan or something like that, or a mortgage or whatever. They want the score to be a little bit higher. So yeah, and again, you have to remember that there's more risk for the lender on a lease in the sense that that car's coming back to them, right? There's a good chance that that car could come back to them at the end of 24, 36, 48 months. So they want to lease to people that have proven that they are responsible, that will take care of the car. Because the car, if the person drives it and turns it back in after 36 months, and it's been driven by somebody irresponsible, and sometimes your credit score can be reflective of how responsible you are in life. Sometimes, not all the time, but that's how the bank looks at it. Because to us, they're, to the bank, we're just a number. They don't know us. You know what I mean? So, they judge your responsibility and what condition that car may come back in. They use your credit score. So that's why it's a little bit harder to lease, because that car could come back to them, and no matter how low the residual value was, they could be upside down on the car at the bank. If you rat the thing out, you know what I'm saying? They drive it in, the tongue's hanging out, you know what I'm saying? And, it's all beat up and scratched up with bald tires and a broken windshield, check engine light, and this, that, and the other. The bank's got to put some money into that car to recon it before they can take it to the auction.
Yep.
So they want to lease to people that, like I said, have proven, that they're somewhat responsible and financially responsible. Whereas, if they do a loan for, that's your car. You know what I mean? If they give a loan to somebody, that's your car. You know what I mean? And so they really don't really care about the condition. They just care that you make the payment.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is a little bit harder.
Okay. Sean, going to toss this one to you as well. KW Deck 1970 says, I'm now helping run an independent dealership after the owner suddenly passed away. Buying advice.
So first of all, I'm sorry to hear about, I'm sure there was someone you knew, your loss. But I like independence. I like independent dealers. So this is, I'm glad we're getting this question. Thank you. You're helping run an independent dealership after the owner suddenly passed away. Buying advice. So I'm assuming that you were working there previously and that you have some experience, and that you just moved up into a position of taking over due to the unfortunate passing of whoever owned it. So buying advice, I would say spend the money on the tools that are out there. If you are not using vAuto, for instance, we all know what vAuto is if you're in the car business. You know what vAuto is if you're not in the car business. vAuto is an inventory tool that a lot of dealers use to acquire vehicles, price them correctly, check Carfax Auto Check at a glance, make sure that the day supply is good, making sure that they're buying a car to sell to their clients that's going to sell profitably and efficiently. Okay, so it's a very, very helpful tool. It's a little pricey, but you get your money back times like 100. So if you're an independent and you're now in charge of buying cars, spend the money to get an inventory tool. There's a couple out there, but vAuto is the dominant one. And it might seem scary to sign up for $2,000 a month, but you can lose $2,000 on one car just by making a bad mistake. vAuto kind of minimizes that. And I don't mean to just plug vAuto crazily. It's a Cox Automotive tool, and they're great, but that's the one that I prefer. So spend the money for an inventory tool that helps you acquire vehicles effectively. And, be a student of the auctions. Too many people jump online and start clicking away, and they go to this auction or this whatever, and they get kind of honed in and stuck. Be a student of the auctions, meaning every auction has, they have cycles. So an auction in, New Jersey, for instance, might be a very good place to buy cars. The cars are cheap for whatever reason, right? And then a big dealer group starts sending all their cars there all of a sudden. They sign up that auction, gives that dealer group a great deal, says, hey, no fees, we'll come get your cars, we'll clean them up for free, we just want your cars, right? Well, it takes about a week or two before prudent dealers go, holy cow, there's 100 awesome fresh trade-ins now at this New Jersey auction. Well, what's going to happen to the prices at that auction? They're going to go up, right? Okay, great. So now you got to be, fluid enough to say, okay, they're up there, but maybe there's an auction in Philadelphia or wherever where a big dealer group took his cars. Maybe the one that he took his cars from here to go to New Jersey. I'm going to that auction because guess what? No one's there now because there's no cars, but, or not as many cars. You know what I mean? So you got to be like a student of the auctions and know, where you can go find the deals for your customers. And I don't think a lot of people put that much time into it, but I will tell you, if you're a buyer and an independent, if you do that, that is the quickest way to get ahead of the competition is to be a student of the auctions. a real student and study them, because you know things other people don't, and that gives you an advantage. So that would be the one thing I would tell you. And don't buy projects. Don't buy cars that need 5,000 that need, tons and tons and tons of work. You think you're buying it cheap or stealing it, as we say in the car business, but the time value of money on that car outweighs what you think you're going to make, because the car sits for 30 days because it's got to go to the body shop, it's got to go get a tranny, and it's got to go get this and that and the other. By the time the car hits the market, right, there's 5 other cars just like it in the market now that are less than when you bought it. You thought you got a good deal, but it's really not a good deal anymore when you figure all the recon and the time and the fees that you pay by having a car for 30 days or 60. I know I'm getting long-winded, but I really want to help this person.
Mm-hmm.
This is an independent car dealer taking over a dealership. Somebody died.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, that guy's got a lot on his plate. So be a student of the auction, and don't buy projects.
There you go. That sounds
Done.
like good advice.
I'm all done.
Okay. Next question. Trisha, we're going to send this one towards you.
Okay.
This is CJ_Iowa asks,
What's up, CJ?
when does tier 3 credit start? And I guess kind of explain credit tiers.
So it kind of depends on which lender you're with, their tier scoring system, but also just the general credit scoring system. So, you have excellent credit, very good, average, fair, and poor, which I think it goes from, it's 350 to 900, but I think it didn't used to be 300 to 850.
People still think it's 850, so I know it was 850 at one time.
Yeah, it was 300 to
way higher
850,
scores than that,
but now it's 350 to 900, which leads me to believe that everybody's score is 50 points higher, which is a whole nother podcast, I'm sure, that we'll get into. But so for this purpose, anyway, the regular credit scoring system is that, and it usually it's about 350 to probably 440, and then it goes up 80 points till you get up to 900 to get to excellent. But the lender I was with, the tiers were more based on your credit history than the number. So it's a tough question to answer.
So where would you say, and it is tough because every bank has, a lot of them do tier differently. But Trish, I think you would say, to be tier 3, you got to be what, the 650?
Probably 650.
650?
Yeah, I'd say 650 would be a tier 3.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's probably pretty accurate. Even, the other lenders, out there, tier 3, yeah. Now today, here's why it's a goofy question, I think, too, CJ. And I know you follow me, and I've seen your name a lot, so thanks for the support. But it's different today. I made a video a couple weeks ago. You were if you're a tier 1, you're paying tier 2 rates now because the rates are high.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, you're a tier 3, but you're probably paying, tier 4 rates. So it's so goofy. Like Trish was saying, you're a 650. In my mind, that's tier 3, because that's kind of always been there. But I don't know that really applies so much today. These banks are bumping you down a tier. You know what I mean? Like, they want to charge you more interest. They want to minimize their exposure by term or whatever. So a 650, today is more like a tier 4. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
it is,
am I
yeah,
explaining
because
that?
we have people that come in with 750 credit scores, and that sounds so great, but then you realize that that's not top tier credit anymore. It's
And
not.
that guy gets 6%.
Right. Well, and in the year that I was, in a 12-month period of being with the lender I was with, I started out with our lowest APR at 4.95. When I left it was 8.45, just in a 12-month
Wow.
period.
That's
And
crazy.
that was the lowest?
4.95, yeah, 8.45 was
Yeah.
the lowest you could get with the best money down, the best, putting the bank in the best position, and it was 4.95 when I got there, so.
Yeah. But good question. He says explain credit tiers. So, yeah, just in general, tiers are, you fit into buckets with these lenders, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, according to credit history, credit score, whatever, risk. And that's how, to explain a little bit more, that's how they figure out what your rate's going to be and what loan to value you can finance, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
basically.
tier 1 credit basically means you walk in, you sign and drive. If you get somebody who's tier 1, you probably don't need to prove your income, you probably don't need to prove your address.
True.
Tier 2, you might need to prove your income, maybe not prove as much. But tier 3 nowadays, you probably got to prove
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but yeah, I hope that answers that, CJ. But good question.
Yeah. All right. This next one is going to go to Sean and Trisha from KC Street Mob. How does someone get a loan for a car sold above MSRP? Do they have to take care of the rest in cash?
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure.
You want to go first?
I mean, I can go first. Yeah.
So anyways,
I mean, we're talking loan to value on that. So that's basically if it's over MSRP, depending on which lender it is, they may have a cap on the loan to value, which means the amount they'll finance based on the amount the car is worth. So if you're buying over MSRP, let's say it's 20% over the value of that vehicle or the invoice if it's brand new, then you may not have to make up any in cash if you have good credit. But if you're talking 30-40% over the value or on a new car over the invoice, you're probably going to need to come up with some cash to reach that gap.
yeah, I mean, somebody get a loan for a car sold above MSRP. Again, they'll give you a loan for MSRP plus. I mean, most lenders will give you, even if you're a mid-tier, 125 or 135% LTV. Now that's based off invoice, not MSRP. But so, if somebody sells a car for over MSRP, let's say the car's 30,000, and they're said, and MSRP is 30 grand, and the dealer's saying, I want $5,000 over MSRP. It's not really that out of whack LTV wise. It's $5,000.
Right, it's
Which
like
is
115% maybe.
Yeah, so it was at 15%. So, no. So to answer his question, no, you don't have to take care of the rest in cash. Now, add on negative equity, or add on, negative equity, and then taxes and everything else. Maybe he might have to now.
And it'll affect your rate. I mean,
Yeah.
if you make up that difference in cash so that you get to a good, you're under the LTV that we talk about, under 100%, it's going to affect your rate.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I mean, you don't have to take care of the rest in cash all the time. No, I mean, the banks they'll loan you over MSRP for sure. So
Awesome. All right. And for the last question of the day, I'll shoot this one at Sean. We kind of talked about it a little already, but TChud11 asks, is it out of line to request a mechanic check a vehicle on a used car lot, small third party?
small third party mechanic, I'm sure. He's not the used car lot. Yeah. So okay,
Correct,
mechanic.
yeah.
So is it out of line? Absolutely not. No, as a matter of fact, I would say it's silly not to. Here there are dealerships that don't fix things in service to save money. Okay. Now, most dealerships are going to do the safety stuff regardless, but if there's a lot of dealerships out there and that will say, hey, that's not a safety item, I'm not fixing that, whatever. It's not going to affect the drivability of the car. It's not a safety issue. So here, the glove compartment isn't or is sticking, or the center console or something like that. I mean, a lot of dealerships will pass on stuff like that. They don't want to put the money into it, right? But in addition to that, there are dealerships out there who will sell you a POS. Period, in a story. And we all know what happens. There's great dealers out there that fix everything and make sure the car is darn near perfect before they'll even put it on their lot. And there's more of those today than there are the bad ones. Let's just get that straight. But are there dealers out there that are going to pass on fixing things? 100% there are. So do you need to go get that car inspected by somebody that is an arbitrary person, not involved in whether or not it's going to make money? 100% you should. So no, it's not out of line. And if by chance you have a dealership giving you a hard time about the inspection, go buy somewhere else. Because, listen, I'm going to put my kids in this machine. I'm going to put my children in this machine that this 2,000-pound weapon that I'm going to get behind the wheel. No, I mean,
but you're not wrong.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So I'm for sure going to know what my risk is. And if you're not doing that, I don't want to hear it when something breaks.
Right.
I don't want to hear it. I'm going to switch to car guy now. I'm going to go to car guy now. You're going to call me, right? You didn't get the car inspected because you wanted to save the $99. Okay, got it. Because I tell people, go get the car inspected. So you didn't do that. You wanted to save the $99. You wanted to be cheap on that. And then the check engine light, I would fix a check. That's a bad example. But the turn signal, the power window switch on the passenger side isn't working now. And you're going to call me and ask me you're going to complain and leave me a bad Google review and a Facebook review and all this other stuff. And for $99, you could have got that inspected. And if you would have came to me and said, Mr. Dealer, I'll buy this car if you fix the window, I would have said, okay, yes, of course, because I want to sell a car that day. But you want to save the $99, and now you want to come back to the dealership and complain and expect that dealership to pay retail service rates at whatever place you took it now, right? Who's giving you an estimate that's 2 times what it's really going to cost. And now you want me. So from the dealer side of it, you know, it's understandable that dealers sometimes, you know, will get a little crusty when a guy comes back. When you had a chance to go get this thing inspected, my mechanics are humans. Even if I'm a good dealer and I try to do everything right and inspect the car right, people miss things. I mean, I hate to say it, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, doctors miss things. I mean, you know, rocket scientists miss things. Car mechanics miss things, okay? So if you're not getting it inspected, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. And then, you know, listen, if you don't call me if something goes wrong in 2 months. If something goes wrong tomorrow, please call me.
Right.
But in 2 months or, you know, whatever it is, look, I mean, you know, if you would have had it inspected, the guy would have told you, hey, listen, it's not bad now, but it might be. In 2 months, you might have put some money in this car. Then you come to me and you tell me that as a customer, I'd say, okay, well, you know, maybe I'll replace it for you. Would you buy the car if I replace it? That's what we always say. Well, what if I fix it? You know what I mean? So, yes, anyways, long-winded, dealer mode, sorry. Yes, it's not, or no, it's not out of line to request a mechanic to check. Matter of fact, I think it's irresponsible not to.
Awesome. Well, that's it for questions today, guys.
That's it?
Yeah, that's what we got today.
It's
Nice.
so fast. So quick.
I mean,
That's what she said.
Okay.
My sister's like The Office is her favorite show. She's like watched it because so when she's around, I go into Michael. What's his name?
Speaking of things you've done
No,
wrong.
the dude, Michael.
Speaking of things you've done wrong.
What's his name?
I never watched
Michael
The
Scott.
Office. There
Yeah.
we
You've
go.
never watched The Office?
No.
Oh my lord, I'm so disappointed. Can I just mention before you end this episode?
Yeah. Eva's making the face though.
Well, earlier in the episode, you had mentioned a reason why you loved cars and how you had a memory in a car about an accident. And your mom was. Do you remember saying that your mom was driving that car? Do you remember now?
I remember him saying that.
The car that got into the embankment
Right.
that mom put in the embankment.
But let's step back for a moment into your memory,
You
shall
already-
we?
Yeah. Go ahead.
And remember that it was in the middle of the day during school, and you came back and told me that she let you drive her brand new car that still had the temp tags on
Yeah.
it, and you drove it into the embankment.
I don't remember that way. I think it was mom that was driving. But, you know, I don't have as many brain cells left as you do.
Facts.
It's a good chance I was driving in the embankment.
Maybe.
Either way, it was fun.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, Trisha.
Well, thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
thank you, sis.
Everybody make
times.
sure to check her out on socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, TrishSellsCars.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, and then do we want to thank our good friend Desiree?
Yes, Desiree of White House Pallets. Thanks once again for sponsoring this episode.
D-Bone.
Thanks, Des.
Yeah. Okay, cool. If you guys like this podcast and you like us at all as people or hate us and
You know,
think
just
it's
a little
cool and fun to make fun of us and leave comments, we like that too.
Mhm.
Because guess what? It's all engagement.
It's all
So when you leave me a stupid comment, you just get me more views. So I appreciate it. But what I was going to say is make sure you follow us on socials. goatforreal216. Follow my girl Eva B. She's got a new company, production
Yeah.
company. She'd be
Evolutionary
doing
Productions.
it. She'd be doing it.
Mhm.
Follow my sister, TrishSellsCars. Just follow everybody.
I think
And
you should
subscribe to the podcast.
be a follower.
Yeah. And then do that too. Anything else, Eva B?
Nah, that's all I got, Sean P.
No? That was fun,
That was fun.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to get out of here.
I think so too.
I'm hungry.
Me too.
All right. Thanks for all the support, guys. We'll see you next time.
Holla.
Holler.
Holler.
Hey, Goat Army. Thank you so much for listening. We really, really appreciate all the support.
And we would like to thank our sponsor for this week's episode. Your support means a ton.
Now, you can find me across all social media at goatforreal216. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. For additional info, you can check out my bio page, www.goatforreal216.info. Now, when you go to those socials, please do me a quick favor. Make sure you hit the like, follow, and subscribe buttons.
And you can find me across all social media at Evolutionary Productions, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. For additional info, you can check out www.evolutionaryproductions.com or www.evabrettrager.com. And just like Sean P. said, please make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.
Yeah, leave us ratings, reviews on your preferred streaming platforms. And listen, guys, please be honest. Listen, this podcast is not going to be effective if we don't reach the right audience and you don't tell us what it is you want from our content. Be honest, please.
And subscribe there as well. Additionally, for exclusive content, be sure to join us on Patreon, which gives you access to our secret Discord.
We love secrets.
Yes, we do.
Holler.
Holla.
The goatforreal216 podcast is produced by goatforreal216 and Evolutionary Productions. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved. No part of this podcast can be reused or reproduced without written express consent from all parties. For information, please contact Evolutionary Productions directly at evolutionaryproductions@gmail.com. Holla!